Hey, what's up everyone? This is Nick at Stridewise.com, and today I'm taking a look at the very spiffy Zind boot in Balthazar black leather from Helm. So this company was founded by Joshua Bingaman, a guy who actually had 20 years experience in the footwear industry before he started the company. He used to manage and then sold a chain of footwear stores. Helm Boots sold their first pair of boots in 2009, back when they were based in Istanbul in Turkey. But eventually Bingaman just got kind of sick of all the customs and rigmarole involved in having a kind of remotely operated location. So he packed everything up and moved everything to Austin, Texas. And now this company is sort of like a feature of the Austin boot culture. It's not very uncommon to see a pair of these pretty unusual looking boots walking around the city. Now, actually, I've already reviewed their flagship Muller boot in teak, but there's a lot of differences between the teak Muller boot and this Zind boot, and it's not just the leather, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. The Zind was actually originally just a one-off product that was supposed to just be sold for a brief period of time, but it proved so popular that it's now one of the company's signature boots. So let's take a closer look at it. So before I go on, I want to make it clear, if you wind up liking these boots, or if you like any of Helm's boots, you can get a discount of 15% off your order if you use the code Stridewise at checkout. So you do that, you get 15% off, I get a little kickback, everybody wins. But I don't actually have that discount code active for very long. The amount of time it's active depends on how many people use it. Maybe no one will, I don't know. But they made it very clear to me, eventually I'm gonna have to cut back into this video and cut out this section because eventually this code is going to be inactive. So if you are watching this now, it is active, and I strongly encourage you to go and use a discount code sooner rather than later. Of course, that's if you like these boots. So if you've watched a few of my other videos, you might have picked up on the fact that I'm not normally a huge fan of black boots. I just think they're not quite as versatile, and also it's pretty easy for them to come off as very kind of serious and military-like. Not that there's anything wrong with military-style boots, it's not really my thing. I think the Helm boot, the Zind boot here, really does sort of avoid a lot of those sort of pitfalls of black boots. The leather is not that aggressively black or shiny, that's a big part of it. But also it's got this signature white line going through the sole here that Helm is very well known for. Some people don't like it. I really like it. I think it looks super cool, and it really helps to give the boot a somewhat more relaxed feel to it as well, which I liked. Now, relative to the Muller boot, there are a lot of differences here I want to talk about. I mean, a big one is, of course, the leather is different here. Also, the cap toe is not present on the Zind boot, which I think makes it a bit easier to blend in at the office and those sorts of environments. Another thing is that it's quite a bit shorter. This is about 5.5 inches tall, whereas the Zind is a little over 6 inches tall. So there's that difference. It's not quite as compact a boot. Finally, the two boots have different lasts, so they fit the foot very differently. The Muller boot has the 323 last, the Zind is the 415 last. As you can see, the Muller is a bit more of a snubbier kind of fit, whereas the toe box is more elongated in the Zind boot. And I also found the Zind is not as tight around the forefoot, which was really good news because I found probably my biggest complaint with the Muller boot is that it's just kind of tight around the ball of my foot. So overall, generally speaking, the Zind is a longer, taller, leaner sort of boot. So this boot is available in 4 different leathers right now. This is the black one, and while the black Muller boot is made from Chrome XL, this is not. This full grain vegetable tanned leather is called black Balthazar leather, which is just the coolest name, and it's quite nice leather. It's relatively thick as well. It's like 2 to 2.2 millimeters thick. And it comes from B Leather Company, which was founded in 1940. It's a 3rd generation family owned tannery in Santiago in the Dominican Republic, which also distills rum, which makes it definitely the kind of tannery I'd like to visit the next time I'm down there. Their most famous leather is probably this one here, the Balthazar leather, and it's hot stuffed, which is like a process of pushing waxes and oils really deeply into the leather, and that gives it like natural polishing capabilities as well. It also means it's actually quite soft while also being pretty durable. So it's kind of similar to Chrome XL with all the hot stuffing, but they did tell me it's vegetable tanned as opposed to combination tanned, if that matters to you. And when you're taking care of this leather, they really just recommend using Venetian Shoe Cream on the white midsole and the outsole, and for the uppers, they're like Blackrock's Leather Enrich. So this outsole is leather, but with this fine line rubber, which gives it a really nice sort of compromise between leather and rubber outsoles. Like you get the flexibility and the softness of the leather outsole, but with a fine line, it helps to remedy the grip problems that are pretty common with leather outsoles while keeping this super flat silhouette from the side. Obviously, it's not going to give you as much grip as like a commando sole, but it's still a pretty nice compromise, I think. After the leather outsole, there's this famous white strip, which is made from composite rubber. Then there's a leather insole and a plastic shank and a kind of foam-like substance for the footbed, which gives us a really cushy feeling. And when combined with the leather lining, it makes for a very kind of luxurious feeling, and it helps the shock absorption as well, which is cool. The sole is attached with a Blake Rapid stitch, which keeps the boot lightweight and flexible, but that means it's not quite as water resistant as a Goodyear welt. Helm can indeed resole these boots, and it probably isn't going to be too hard to find a cobbler who can. I think it'll be a bit harder than a Goodyear welt, but it can be resoled. Finally, the footbed also comes with an inscription which changes seasonally depending on when you get the boots. So right underneath your heel, I've got, "The goal in life is to discover that you've always been where you were supposed to be." Isn't that uplifting? So the sizes are available in 6 through 16, which is a pretty remarkable range. They stopped doing half sizes after 11.5 though, but I am an 11.5, so it worked very well for me. They're available in D and double E widths, and they fit true to size. So I got an 11.5D, which I was a bit apprehensive about because, as I mentioned earlier, the Muller boot is very snug around the forefoot, but these were not. I was very, very happy with this fit. It's also fully leather lined, which is pretty cool. So that combined with that soft footbed make for kind of a more luxurious experience on your feet. Your feet feel a bit more pampered than they would on like the very hard soles of like, I don't know, a Red Wing boot or something like that. So that's a bonus. That said, I never know if I should show pictures of my feet in my videos, but I am currently nursing a pretty ugly blister on my left heel from the break-in for these boots. So there is nonetheless a bit of a break-in with these shoes. I've been wearing them around Brooklyn for a bit over a week now. After the first 3 wears, it was fine. Like the leather's still softening and like molding around the shape of my foot. Now they're fantastic to wear. There was a bit of a tough break-in there, but definitely a lot easier a break-in when compared to something like Red Wing boots. So it's not completely perfect, that break-in period, but definitely better than a lot of other shoes, especially at this price point. Now, as far as the price goes, these boots cost $399 for a pair, which is like about $15 more expensive than the Muller boot, which is pretty expensive for a pair of shoes, I'm not gonna lie. I am a guy who has lots of boots that are over $500. I'm well aware of the fact that once a boot is more than $300, a lot of people out there are gonna be kind of looking sideways at it. I do think this is a very good quality boot. It is a Blake stitch, so it's lightweight, but it can also be resoled by some people. It's got a lot of upsides that I've already gone through, but yeah, that price, that might be a bit tricky for a lot of people. That said, of course, you can get 15% off with my discount code Stridewise at checkout, which really softens the blow a bit, so I would recommend you do that. All right, so what are the pros of the Zind boot? They're very, very versatile, especially for a pair of black boots. I really do like the way these look. The white stripe in the sole, I think, really helps it to blend into a few different environments. Goes really well with a t-shirt, goes really well with like chinos. You can wear this around the office, I think, as long as you're not wearing like a suit, which might be a bit tough, but maybe not impossible. I really am very impressed with the versatility of this boot, and I had the same thing to say about the Muller boot as well. I think that's something that Helm does really, really well. It's a nice minimalist design. You also get 2 different types of laces, which is kind of cool. You can have round ones or flat ones. And I also want to say they're very comfortable shoes. Again, was not crazy about the Muller boots' comfort. These boots, on the other hand, I was very impressed with the comfort. The Blake stitch means they're nice and lightweight, and they're also flexible. They don't clump around like a lot of Goodyear welted boots out there. It's also fully leather lined. It's also got this nice, soft, cushiony footbed. All in all, even though there was a bit of a rough break-in at the beginning, it wasn't that long-lasting a break-in. And in the end, everything's got nice and soft, and it's quite a luxurious feeling walking around in these boots. All right, now there are a few potential downsides with this pair of boots, namely the price, $400. That is not a very cheap pair of boots. There's no getting around that unless you use a certain discount code. Then that really takes the edge off. Also, yes, I did get some blisters wearing these in. Not the worst break-in in the world, but I do kind of miss that bit of skin I lost on my foot. I wanted to mention that as well. This white strip here going through the sole, I think it is just very, very cool. I'm a huge fan of it. Some people just absolutely hate it. There's no convincing them. I don't know, there's no convincing you if you hate it, but personally I like it, but it is relatively controversial when it comes to boots. And then finally, the Blake stitch, it has a lot of upsides. The downside, the main downside anyway, is that they're not very water resistant. Like these aren't the most outdoorsy boots in the entire world. In that respect, they're kind of hard to compare with some Goodyear welted boots. But generally speaking though, Helm doesn't really act like they're trying to make the perfect outdoorsy boot. A lot of boot companies claim they are. Helm is more fashion focused, and as a fashion focused boot, I think it succeeds. All right, those are my thoughts on the pretty snappy Zind boots from Helm. The full written review is in the description below, by the way, if you want to check that out and click around my site. There's a bunch of non-review stuff there that you might like. And also make sure you subscribe because I have a whole lot more boot reviews and boot discounts and boot comparisons and a bunch of other videos coming up.